All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to this special meeting of the Zoning and Housing Board of Appeals to cover for November. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chair Tomino.
Here.
Vice Chair Montanti. Here. Commissioner Plautz. Commissioner Arruda. Commissioner Zimnowitz. Here. Commissioner Kendall.
Here.
Councilmember Matheson.
Here.
Thank you. Is there any correspondence? No.
You had one item of correspondence relating to the community bank application. It was a letter of support from the Walteri Law Office.
Okay. We'll note that. We'll go right into new business. Who's here to represent 30 East Street? Hey, please state your name and who you are and where you're from.
Mary Thirties Tordesillas. I'm originally from Long Island, New York, and we just recently purchased 30 East Street last fall.
Okay,
Bernard Tordesillas, her husband, same as well.
thank you. So please let us know what you'd like to do.
Well, we were trying to apply for variance in order to be able to apply for the property, the second floor specifically to be used as a short-term rental.
Short-term rental, the permit. We were advised that we had to apply for the use variance first, and then later on, if that's successful, we would have to submit a short-term rental application. And that's where we are today. Our current zonings are R2, and I don't believe short-term rentals are designated for our area. So we're respectfully requesting a variance to, I guess, if this is the correct procedure, to submit the application.
Do you currently live at the property right now?
We're off and on, we're in between Long Island and Oneonta. So we would like to spend a lot of this summer here as well as the
We
winter.
spent quite a chunk of the summer here. We have two kids, so we both are able to work remote at times. So we take that opportunity to travel up here.
Is that a multifamily home or is it just a single-family home?
Multifamily.
How many apartments are in there?
2.
2 apartments. So there's one upstairs and one downstairs?
Correct.
Where is your permanent residence?
Permanent, her residence is for Oneonta. She's registered to vote here, she's registered to, she's declared residence here.
Okay. We're going to open up, to some questions from the board here,
Sure.
and then we'll see. Doug, I'm going to pick on you. Do you have any questions for the applicant?
I guess my question would be, why would you not rent the second floor to a tenant with an annual lease? There is a need for housing, so I would just have a question as to that.
So that's where we're residing now. When we stay there, we want the ability to be able to come and go between the two, and we've kind of created and contoured it so I liking the second floor. So the first floor is fully rented out. The second floor is where we'd like to stay, and then maybe in the off season or in the summer times when we're not there, to possibly do a short-term rental in those.
Okay, so the floor that you are asking for short-term rental is also the floor that you reside in when you are on site?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That was kind of my question too, so that's answered.
Okay.
I was concerned about whether it had been rented prior to, and so you're living in it and downstairs is rented.
So then also with the short-term rental, it's like, it's fully furnished already for us. It'd be easier for us, I would think, to do a short-term. The amount of time that possible visitors would want to stay would be short, and we still maintain the character of our second floor apartment.
Okay. Luis, do you have any questions?
So the one question I would have was, back to the conversation, so you're staying in the second floor apartment,
Yeah.
and when you're looking at the short-term rental, was there a specific time period that you're looking to put it on the market for?
The summer months, possibly from May to September.
Okay.
Could be shorter, depends on really, the amount of, just the time that we're not there.
Yeah.
Would be the ideal, ideal situation.
So, in your originally opening statement, you stated that you're staying there in the summer months.
Yes.
Okay. So what does that look like on the off seasons? I mean,
On the summer months, so we could just go back and forth, like if we're, June, July, right, we're there for two, 3 weeks, and then the following week, we're gonna go back to, just because our kids have like a lot of
Our kids
activities.
are in camp.
Yeah.
So it would be that time that our kids are in camp where we can't really come up for longer amounts of time. Because usually during the summer, we did stay weeks at a time because we were able to work remote.
Yeah.
okay. But you've assigned that as your resident, your permanent residency.
Excuse me, Steve, I recognize Steve, the code enforcement officer, is here today. Does the code provide now if somebody is, their permanent resident is there, they're allowed to rent that out?
It does, but they don't meet the time required for that. So in the code, we require that they occupy the property as a owner-occupied residence for a certain percentage of the year. And based on their description in their application, it doesn't sound like they're doing that.
So do you understand what he's trying to say?
What would the duration, for that?
It basically is, it essentially says 9 months. That's
9
what it breaks down to. It's your primary residence. It's not a go-between. It's not a, it's where you live.
So basically, you'd have to reside there 9 months. Under the current code would allow you to reside there for 9 months.
Something like 270.
Yeah, whatever the days are, there's a certain amount of days, and then you could rent it short-term those other days.
Okay.
So asking for the 6 months that you're at, I think that's what you're asking for in your application, is to rent it for 6 months. You would have to get a use variance here for that tonight.
Okay.
But under the current code, the fact that that's your, your current residence, you're able, under the current code, to rent it out short-term, but you have to do it for less than 3 months out of the year.
You basically have to show that you're occupying that property as your primary residence for a majority of the year.
I mean, in terms of, 3 months was just kind of, what we picked based
You picked
upon-
6 months, I think, is
Oh,
what you
sorry.
got. 6 months.
Based upon the application, because I think it was a 6 months on the application.
Yeah, so the way that, I'll just dive into
Sure.
this. The way the permitting works in the city is short-term rental permits are good for 6 months. In that 6-month period, you can rent as many days as you'd like, once you have that 6-month permit. If we have a property like this, where they're like, this is an owner-occupied property, we live here 9 months of the year, and then we notice that actually they're not, then we would just revoke the permit. That's part of what that's the enforcement part of the permitting process.
I wouldn't actually need, sorry, I wouldn't
Good.
need 6 months to do it, it's just, I don't even know what it looks like in terms of who would stay there for, or how many how many days vacant it would be. I mean, even if it was something less, like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I don't need a full, so
But
I'm not.
The stumbling block seems to be that this is not your permanent residence
Right.
for approximately 9 months out of the year.
Mm.
So from that perspective, it seems like you can't rent it short-term just because it's not your primary residence. You have children going to schools where,
Yeah, I mean, we're hitting the 207, we're on that, trying to meet that.
So, I mean, maybe what would be a suggestion is we table this application, and I'm only saying this is a suggestion. We meet with the applicants and discuss what they're actually trying to do. And not, I mean, if what they're saying is, well, this is my primary residence, it's gonna be unoccupied for X amount of the year. I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a firm idea as to how many dates are being used for short-term rental and how many are not.
Sir, you can travel during those 9 months. You don't have to sit there at that house, but this has to be your primary residence. The current code allows you to rent this short-term. If that's your primary residence, you're allowed to do it up to about 3 months. So you don't need a variance for that. You just have to work it out with the code office to make sure that is, and you'd have to go through the normal processes of getting the permit as well as inspections. But if you rent for more than that time, then they're gonna revoke your permit. And then you'd have to come back here and ask for a variance during that time.
Okay, that can.
I mean, I think we can just, I'll get with the applicants and we can figure out what's going on, because we just got an application, that's what I have.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, like I was advised, fill out this question.
yep, no, it makes sense, because if we talk about your application, it looks like you need to come back, and we'll just come back to the zoning
Yep.
board next month.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's awesome,
Yeah.
that's great, yeah.
Okay.
It's all, because I was stuck on, how do I, for two,
Yeah, no,
X
it-
amount of days
Right.
versus.
So what I'll do is I'll send you an email tomorrow.
Okay, that's great.
All right, is the board okay with tabling this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
My biggest
Okay.
concern is that, I mean, the residency is
Sure.
for you to not occupy it with anybody else, the 9 months, right? It's your stay,
Yes.
it's not renting that out.
No, yeah.
And,
it's-
you know, code will do their due diligence in order to, you know, and they pay attention to what's being rented out.
Generally speaking, you know, from my understanding, you do not have to rent it, you know, 3 months consecutive. I mean, if you've decided to go on a trip somewhere and you want to rent your place out for a month, you know, you can do that. But this has to be your primary residence, and Steve will be able to, you know, walk you through that.
Yeah, I think everything's going that way to establish it as a.
Sure. Could I please get a motion to,
Sure,
Tables.
I'll move that we table this application until our next meeting, pending information coming forth from code enforcement about the discussion.
okay,
We'll second that.
second from Doug. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chair Tomino,
Yes,
Vice Chair Montanti,
Yes,
Commissioner Zinowitz,
Yes.
Commissioner Kendall.
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. So you'll get with the code enforcement officer?
Right?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night, thank you.
Yes, welcome to the Leon.
Okay, the second application is for, I guess it's 7 Ford Ave, 5 Ford Ave, 20 Beach Street. Who's here to represent that application?
That's the only applicant.
That's you.
Those are
Yeah,
the actual
I-
impacted parcels.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
My son Jeff is the owner, I sold it to him.
Sure.
We're running the business together.
Yep.
He's out of town.
Your name is Jeff, well,
I'm Steve Hiscox.
Steve Hiscox, okay.
And he's Jeff.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, sir. So today you're here to get an area variance for the
Yes.
fencing there at the community bank property.
Yes.
Could you just explain to us roughly what you guys are looking to do and what the property owners are
Well,
looking to do?
They hired us to do, before we found out that we better get approval before we did it, was to put a bunch of fence down there. I believe all of it's been submitted to what it is we're doing. It's 6-foot-high chain link, black. There's also already a considerable amount of chain link in that whole area. In fact, in the last 2 or 3 years, we put a lot of chain link in that downtown area, for safety and so forth. We've done it for the church, both churches down there. We did one for Rick Weinberg for his properties down there. It's kind of a migration, thoroughfare from the buildings on Main Street, and they've had all kinds of problems down there with, drug use, people breaking into cars and all that. And so Community Bank's idea was to put these fences that are shown in the paperwork that we, submitted to, make it a more secure area there to keep people from, there was drug use going on and various other things. And so we're the contractor to put up the fence for Community Bank.
It's delineated there in pink in the application?
I'll have to get a little closer.
Sure.
Yes, the areas in pink are we've already done other chain link down there in the past, but those are the 2 new areas. Thank you. Jeff should have left me with that.
You can
Yes,
have-
that's, I have that sketch, but that's 100% what
Okay.
we're trying to do.
All right, so we generally, we understand the reason as to why you want to put up the fence, okay?
Well,
The question is, there's the property right next door, which you have, we have a letter of support, which is the Walteri property right next door.
We put up a fence for a wall last year
Sure,
for that same idea of people cutting through it, and then we just
sure.
did an
Which
aluminum-
side did you do? There's an aluminum fence there.
The
Did you?
aluminum fence we just did. and
Okay.
that was approved, apparently. I certainly hope so. We put it up and got paid for it, so I hope.
Okay,
It's a beautiful fence. And we did that one, but that was a contract with Community Bank, not for Walteri.
sure.
We did a different contract for Wall.
He did the fence on the other side?
Yes. on
And
the
that's
other
a
side, 'cause
chain.
That was also a cut-through area, and we did that one last year for Wall.
So, I mean, you're not Community Bank here. One of the questions that I have is, specifically speaking, there's a pair of steps that you walk down out of the Dietz Lofts there. There's a couple of dumpsters there, and then there's some
Yep.
steps. We're not blocking off those steps, are we? Because the way that this delineation shows,
Right.
it shows that you're going 180 feet all the way across there,
Right.
and I'm just,
We'd be more than willing to alter that depending upon, so what you're hoping is that from the artist loft, they'll be able to go down those steps into that area.
well, this is a city, and I've been here for 40 years, and part of what my concern is here is how people migrate through the community. And the bank spent some considerable amount of money, I think, several years ago, where they have that little pathway that goes alongside into the back of the bank and
Yes,
out
and-
onto Main Street through that little
And
alleyway.
We're part of that plan in yellow or pink or whatever color it was to bring that fence all the way around down to that path. That was the one part. And then the other part is up behind the arts loft. Two separate fence projects, connecting to other fence projects that have already been installed in that area.
Where are the steps that you're talking about, Jim? From the parking lot
There-
to
there's
the
a
bank's
D-
parking lot?
There's a the Deed Street Artist Lofts, I think that's what they're still calling them, but there's three steps. There's a wood railing and 3 steps where you
that was
walk
so you
down,
could
and that's
get
behind the
from-
dumpster, yeah.
Right.
I
so you could get-
believe, and I'm not sure, that Community Bank preferred that we close that off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be up to the
That
bank.
would be the purpose, I guess, of putting up the fence, because that's part of the negative traffic in their opinion.
I understand all of this. I think my concern is, and you're not the bank. You don't represent you represent this fence company to get this permit.
100%.
I think
We
that
just
the-
have a contract.
I understand exactly what's going on, and I'm gonna turn it over to my board here in a second, but the questions that I particularly have is, that had generally been a thoroughfare for people for many years when that was a parking lot. To walk through there to get to Main Street or to get to some of the
Understood.
other businesses into the back there.
Understood.
So it is their property and they have all the right to, close that off. And I understand that that's the case, The concern that I have is, it's a community bank, and we're starting to close down and there's other access points into that parking lot other than just the steps. Another question I have is with the existing chain link fence, I think it runs alongside Kano over there.
Yes.
It's a 4-foot high fence
That's
there.
a 4-footer over there, yes.
Okay.
That's been there for years.
Some of the fence panels seem to be, falling down or not attached properly there. I was there this afternoon looking at it.
Well, if that's the case, it's because somebody climbed over it. and
Sure.
did it.
Sure.
And we have that problem
Sure.
all the time, people climbing fences. That's one of the reasons I think why they want a 6-foot fence in
Sure.
that other area, because it's the old shortest distance between is a straight line and people are willing to hop over it. And if there's any damage there, it's a result of somebody hopping.
Sure,
over
I
it.
understand that, yep. And then the fence that we're looking at, which would run parallel to the Dietz Artist Lofts building, that one would be 6 foot. So are you gonna maintain the 4-foot fence on the side that is
Well,
adjacent to
We
the,
would maintain it if somebody asked us to maintain it.
I
We
mean-
put it up and it's perfect.
sure.
Then from there,
Well, I meant as far as maintain, would that continue to be a 4-foot fence versus a 6-foot?
there's no plan to change that fence. that
Okay.
fence is remaining the way it is. There's some 6-foot fence in there, and if you look closely at the paperwork, there's a little part over there that's 8 feet. You'll see that in there. I'm not exactly sure why the bank wanted 8 foot in that particular area. I believe there was a specific reason for it.
So from what I understand, we're gonna be eliminating those steps from,
Apparently.
okay, and then that would just,
Apparently those steps would no longer be usable because there'd be a fence.
there'd be a fence there, okay.
And just.
I'm gonna turn it over to you guys right now, so go ahead, Lori.
So my question really is to you, Jim, because I really didn't pay attention to the steps, because I thought that really wasn't public parking as such any longer. So I wasn't thinking that it had to be an access through there. I understand it was before, because that was all public parking, and now it's
No, the entire
really,
Dean's Lot's public parking.
excuse me?
The entire Dean's Lot's public parking.
People
I-
keep saying that that's public parking, but a lot of people don't think it
Don't
is.
understand.
It is public parking.
But a lot of people don't understand because it's behind the building and so they don't see it as such. So I understand what your question was, but I was thinking not many people are gonna use those steps any longer.
They're not gonna be able to.
Or- Well, not only, they won't be able to once, if we agree that the fence should go up, okay? But I think that they weren't using them now because no one's going behind that building, or, that's unfair. Many people don't go behind that building to park.
Well, you're not allowed to.
No, they are.
Well-
They are allowed to, but they.
In the Deed Street lot, but not in the community bank lot.
Right.
Right.
So there's no more
I'm
access, it's
talking
their own
about
personal.
behind
Right.
the.
Well, let's,
Deed Street.
the lot
let's,
building.
we'll do a discussion.
Yeah.
Let's ask some questions to the applicant, and then we'll get to the discussion that we'll have, okay? Doug, do you have any?
I don't really have any questions.
Okay,
I don't think
Could you
Louisa.
elaborate as to what is happening in the parking lot that they're putting up this fence?
You can check with OPD and they'll tell you. It seems as though, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we've done a couple fences in that area. There's a traffic pattern that comes from the Lord's Table and Turning Point, and we had to cut that off. There was drug use down in there, and so we put up a fence there. It's all about making people go the right way rather than cutting through and vandalism, damage, drug use. Also, that we put a fence down right behind Community Bank a couple of years ago. There's a little alcove in there, and people would sleep in there and do drugs in there, so we cut that off. It's just because people don't have a better place to go or a different way to go, they do damage in that area.
so behind the Wealth Management Building, which is that building, that's on, Ford Avenue, and then there's a small parking lot there.
Yes.
And then there is I believe it's an aluminum fence that's there, or maybe it's steel, I'm not sure.
Probably, that fence has been there forever.
It has been.
And we did not install
So-
it. I think it's been there for 30 years.
I think that there is an opening in that fence as well there. It's along the,
I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
haven't
so-
looked at it.
okay.
And it wasn't part of the contract.
Well, there is an opening there, and so
Okay.
I was there today, and,
All right.
all right. Steve, is there any particular rule, with, I don't know what went on with that parking lot when it was, it was, sold or used for that use, and if there was any specific, guidelines or bylaws or covenants for that particular property, with that public lot back there, not that we know of or anything.
The only thing that changed was that the footprint of that building was sold to a developer.
And it remained the public parking all the way around there. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. One more question for you, not for you, for you. As far as the fence that you put alongside Walt Terry's, you did that last year?
No, we just did it.
Just did it, okay. The question I have is why not use that particular type of fence?
Because that's not what the customer asked for.
Okay.
Um,
The reason why I ask this question, when I look at the other fences in the whole entire bank parking lot, most of them, mirror that particular type of aesthetic.
Understood.
You know, they look as though they're either steel or aluminum. They have that 4-inch or whatever the spacing is in between each rise, you know, in the fence, and they're about the same style, you know?
Yes, I suspect, and you, I mean, we can check with the community bank, I suspect that it was a matter of money partly. Those aluminum fences are about twice the price of a
Sure,
chain link fence.
sure.
It's a huge project, so when we went and met with them, they wanted to put this here and that there, and so we just, put together a contract with them to do what they wanted.
Okay, before we go further with our discussion, tonight there's 4 members of the zoning board here. And that would mean we have a quorum to go ahead and hear this application. All of us would have to vote in favor of this, for this to pass today. So, you know, we can, you know, further to go through with this thing, we did table the last application, you know, and, would you wanna find more information from Community Bank before?
Would that be up to me or to you?
If you would ask the board to do that, to table it till the next meeting.
I would ask them if they'd like to put up a different fence at double the price.
Yep, and some other, I don't know, I mean, there might be some more questions that come out of a discussion that we're gonna have here. Maybe you'll wait until we're done with the, you know, having the rest of the discussion.
What I don't understand is, why wouldn't Community Bank be represented here instead of being just a
Yeah,
contract?
well, that's a part of the question, you know what I mean, because there might be.
Why doesn't that happen already? Why is it just be here? We have the whole application and everything in place, and now we waited a month, now we waited another month, and now you're asking
I think
us-
maybe you filled out,
Submit an application.
you filled out the application, not Community Bank, I believe.
They weren't asked to fill out an application.
Well, we need a variance for this fence.
Right.
I'm very sympathetic to what's going on in that parking lot, but it's hard for you to answer a lot of the questions that this.
Can't answer on their behalf.
Yeah, on their behalf, that's exactly it, and it may be an issue whereas a representative of Community Bank might want to be here to answer some of these questions.
And why didn't you invite them?
The application, you applied the application on their behalf, so yeah, or,
We did what we were told to do. We said,
Sure.
If you wanna get the variance, turn in an application, we paid
Sure.
$250, we turned it in, and we're here.
sure, absolutely, I understand that, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've
Doug?
got one more question for Steve. Why is the variance needed for this?
Chain link fence is permitted in the zone.
Well,
It's an alternative fencing material.
Right.
Totally fine.
this is relatively new, right, Steve? We just learned of all these new things within the last
This
spring.
particular zone, the chain link fence ordinance was changed in 2022, maybe 23.
Maybe it might have been 23, we just got wind of it last.
And then the entire fencing code was updated last year to
Right.
include non-commercial zones. So I mean, yeah, if they picked an aluminum fence, if they picked any material that wasn't chain link, they could start from. Then also the 8-foot section is not permitted in the code either. You can't install 8-foot fence anywhere in the city. And that code's been in existence for at least 30 years.
Well, I guess we haven't done many 8-foot fences, we don't get called for 8.
Yeah, 8-foot fence is weird. Yeah, that's a weird.
So yeah, all that kind of took us, but we've been doing business here since '96.
Yep.
I think that, you know, I can't tell you what to do here today, obviously. But there's a lot of questions here that might be able just to be answered by a representative from Community Bank.
And so you're suggesting that I reach out to them to have them reach out to you?
Well, they can contact me directly.
They can
So,
contact
so what happened is, we got a request to install your fence.
Right.
The application I have on my desk is filed by the fencing company. And the applicant contact information is the fencing company. So when we filed the application, sent the public notice, et cetera, it was all based on the application that was provided to our office that listed.
I don't know why we ended up applying instead of them.
I don't know. I mean, that's why.
It's just, I think we got to the point where we're getting ready to install and found out, I mean, we bought the materials, we've got it ready to go, we've done some of the project and
Sure. When the zoning board saw this application, we think that you were the one applying for this variance.
I can see why you would.
We don't know anything else that happened beforehand, you know,
Well,
so.
then I guess you have to talk to, like you said, community bank, and talk to community bank.
Yeah,
How it works.
Yeah, I think if you have a contact with community bank, then I can contact. That's,
Unfortunately, the guy quit the left.
Is that
John,
Eric? Is that Eric?
He went on to another job, and we've been we're trying to get paid for past things we did for them.
So would you request that we table this, until the next,
Well, it knocks out any chance we have of completing this project this year. that's for sure.
I understand that, I just, you know, right here, in this, it's up to you, sir. I mean, you know, I just know that chain.
What if I don't request that you table it, then you make a decision and it goes against me, and then what happens? I'm asking how it all works, I had no idea.
so if your area variance would be denied, you would have to use a code compliant form of fencing. So that might be you would have to install a different type of.
So the whole problem isn't the steps, isn't the fence, it's the chain link.
It's the material. It's not permitted in a height. The 8-foot height is not permitted.
Well, the 6 foot.
That is permitted.
Where is there the
And apparently
application
there's no chain
says,
link allowed anywhere in the city anymore.
It's
Except
6 foot.
commercial zones.
and that's not a commercial zone.
It's kind of odd that you'll allow a wood fence anywhere, which lasts 6, 8, 10 years. Chain link lasts forever. You won't allow vinyl fences in much of the city. I don't know why that is. They last forever and look better than wood.
Vinyl fencing is permitted in the city.
It's not what it says in the,
Not
not in
this
the
particular zone.
old zone
Yeah,
there.
not in this particular zone.
And we've got about 20 of them in there, or 30. I can't even imagine how many we put in there over the years. And they look better than the wood fences.
Yeah, well, that section,
Is there-
there's different I think there's a different.
Anyway, that's not
Doesn't
why
make
we're here, I
sense.
get that. So tell me what to do and I'll do it. You want me to have you table it, you don't wanna make a decision, you wanna get more information. I talk to Steve, and then we get a contact at Community Bank for us all to meet with, or you to meet with,
Or them to come here, whatever.
Let me ask you, is Eric Turner, the gentleman that quit?
Excuse me?
There's an Eric Turner,
No,
contact.
Don,
Okay,
Davies,
all right, well, you do have a contact on here on the
the
form.
maintenance
Yeah, the
guy.
maintenance guy,
We
yeah.
set everything up through Don, we've been working with Don for years,
Yeah.
and he's always our contact when we do a project.
Right.
Well, you do have a contact here, Eric Turner, on the application, that Jeff had listed.
Oh, he must
For
be the new
community.
guy then, because Jeff's been working on all of this,
Right.
and then the meeting came up when he was out of town.
Okay,
So that must be the new guy, in that Don Davis is now moved on to another job.
okay.
I think that's what the confusion is there. So I guess Eric Turner would be the contact person that,
Okay.
That's what it says it's listed, so you may wanna start
Okay.
there.
Would somebody like to make a motion to, table this application until, I would give, I guess, the next, zoning
So
meeting?
moved.
so
Okay.
what would be different at the next meeting, I'm just asking? There would be a contact then and more information from the community bank who is the actual person asking for the variance, or just the contractor, correct?
Yes.
Right, and there needs to be the
Okay, that
change in
makes
the
sense.
chain link fence.
Yep.
Okay. Table.
Can I get a second?
I'll
please?
second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Chair Tomato?
Yes.
Vice Chair Matandi?
Yes,
Commissioner Zenowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Kendall?
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you, for coming and
Sure.
any confusion that there was, you know.
Nine. Can I just have a word with this?
Yeah.
Here, we'll let them, okay. So I guess,
Well.
can you make this easy, please?
Is this fun?
Roads.
well, there's that.
Okay, we'll move on to the third. Who's here to represent 34 Academy Street? Please just say your name and, thank you. So go ahead and, if you'd like to explain, what's going on. and what you'd like to do. Sorry. Can't hear.
Alright, so, first of all, the property, we didn't bring any materials other than what was submitted to the, city, just in terms of a sketch, related to the percent of impervious surface. So I just, maybe, I don't know, do you have any materials?
Application.
Okay. Are there any photos of anything around there?
No.
No, okay.
So, I just wanna, this is an easy application. This property, they purchased it, the previous owner had paved a small section in the side yard. That owner was informed that it was a zoning violation because they expanded parking in R4. The property was sold to them with that existing violation. It's approximately, how much pavement? It doesn't exceed impervious coverage.
It doesn't
No, it
actually.
doesn't.
Right.
It's less than the percentage.
It's less than the
Yeah.
percentage. The only issue is it was an expansion of an existing side yard parking area in R4. It's maybe one parking spot with maybe.
I don't even think it's less than that.
It's actually less than the code allowed minimum parking area. So it's a very small section of the law. It was effectively asphalted over 3 years ago.
It was in 2019.
Yeah, okay, so,
Yeah.
yeah, so just, do you want me to give the?
So you
history part?
purchased.
Yeah, if you could just give the history really quickly.
So here's, I mean, first of all, so you can picture, since there's no photos, just so you can picture the property, it's 34 and 36 Academy has a shared driveway.
Yep.
We own both now. In 2018, we bought 36 Academy as a foreclosure, and we fixed it up really nice. We've got, there's a baseball rental in the summer, like, like a high-end baseball rental, and then we rent it to just individuals throughout the rest of the year. So that's 36, and there's a single driveway that kind of widens a little bit toward a carriage barn to the back, through the back. And the carriage barn is also owned by the two properties, split just like the driveway. So anyways, and then, so after we fixed all that up, that winter, I was trying to snow blow the driveway, and there's chunks of asphalt and stuff, and the driveway's falling to pieces on the 34 Academy side. So I, talked to the owner of that property, 34, which is Seth Clark, and to see if we could split, the cost of fixing up the driveway, even though most of the driveway's on his side. But we split it even and, fixed it up beautifully, so, and we had nothing to do with that. I mean, he was there when we had, Cody Schmidt is the one who did the prep work, and then Fuller did the paving. But Seth directed on that side, so we had nothing to do with that. But at any rate, so I guess in the process, like, the mud, it wasn't even grass, it was just mud, because students were parking.
Students were parking in the wall.
Yeah, so basically that little bit of extra pavement got added in that application, which is the issue why we're here.
Right.
So anyways, 2 years later, or 3 years later, 2022, so 2 years, almost 2 years to the day from now, back, we bought 34 Academy from Seth, because that way we kind of had control of the whole thing. We fixed up the other half of the carriage barn, put gutters on everything, so it wasn't dripping down and ice falling down in the driveway and stuff. So anyways, fixed it all up real nice, and now we need a COC. Oh, we also took it out of student rental and converted it back to, two families, so we got, actually it's a new Harvard basketball coaches upstairs, and downstairs is, just a single woman and her dog. So anyways, and now we need a COC for that, which is basically why we're here.
The space that you're talking about is on the right.
It's on the right, as you face
It's on the right. It's at that one spot on the right.
It's like the spot, maybe
Yeah.
probably a little closer to the road than where that little bay window sticks out.
Yeah, I
Not
know.
in front yard, it's side yard.
Yeah.
Side.
Here's what I do, I only have one copy, but you can pass it around. So like, as you're looking, like this is the driveway coming in.
Yep.
And it's like that amount of pavement that was added. So
Yep,
this is the
I
asphalt,
understand.
that's 34, so I, do you wanna, or,
I can
pass it
put it
around?
They should have that.
Oh, do you
No, I have nothing.
Yeah.
It's the,
And
Yeah,
so-
just right here.
It's right there,
Right
yeah.
there, yeah.
So, and there's a potential
She
issue
just
with
set
the
that up.
percentage of
Yeah, this is that
impervious
one.
surfaces.
Yeah, but I think it's not. It's less. It's less. It's less. It's less than that.
It's just barely, but I, honest to God, I didn't budget or anything, that's honestly, just.
And the water's being shed down the driveway. I would
Well, no, it's
imagine.
not anymore, that's the thing, we put on gutters, so now it actually goes to the lawn, or
Okay.
in the back, it
Yeah.
goes to the lawn and back, so.
Okay.
it's actually-
There weren't gutters that worked
Right, and
before,
now
the
the-
gutters were, like the roof overhung the gutters the way that they were.
No, yeah, the old gutters
have a copy of it?
It was submitted as part of a site plan review. I thought it was in the site plan review package.
I haven't seen
It's
it.
not in here. That's okay.
So then,
Um,
can we,
We have it.
oh, okay.
Okay.
That's how I know it doesn't seem.
Can we make sure that it gets into,
Can I get it?
into the thing? Okay, thank you, Steve.
So originally this was gonna go to the planning commission, which is why. Yeah, so originally, the office determined that it exceeded impervious coverage, so it was sent to the planning commission. Upon review, we realized it's actually a zoning issue because it did not exceed the impervious coverage, which is why it's here.
Thank you.
We cannot issue a CUC because it is an existing zoning violation.
All right. Do you have anything else to say?
I mean, I guess the only other question would be, do we need to table this?
No.
Or where are we?
Well, we're gonna get there in a second, okay? Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay. Just take care of the seeker really quickly, if we could,
It's a type two.
type two,
Type two.
yeah, so if I could just get a motion, for it.
I'll make the motion, right, after the review, an application, review of the code office's opinions, that we're declaring that it's a type 2 action, and it's been determined that the project will have no negative effect on the impact on the environment. And no further,
Yeah.
right?
Environmental review is
needed.
needed, yeah, that's good.
I would second.
Beat me to it.
So clerk, is it Lori?
Yep.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Chair Tomino?
Yes.
Vice Chair Montanti?
Yes.
Commissioner Zimowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Kendall?
Yes.
Passes.
Yeah, personally, I think that, this is, it does not exceed the impervious coverage, and I think that it being done the way that it was done and the water not affecting the other properties, I think it's, okay. Yeah. All right, can I get a motion for this application, please?
I'll make the motion to approve the application as submitted.
I'll second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Chair Tomino?
Yes.
Vice Chair Montanti?
Yes.
Commissioner Zimowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Kendall?
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
After the
Keep up
years.
the good work, improving that property, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything to talk about? Any concerns, comments? Nope.